Hypnotists, fire breathers, two-piece acoustic bands, big brass bands. We're going to talk about wedding entertainment. And when it comes to wedding entertainment, there really are no limits. So in this video, we're talking everything wedding entertainment. And this is following on from our special guest, Alec from the Pearls Wedding Band, who came in and talked everything bands with us recently. And this has got us thinking. Bands are an obvious entertainment option for people, and it's something a lot of people get, but there are so many other options to you throughout the entire day of your wedding when it comes to entertainment. And we're going to go through everything today. So we will talk about the more obvious ones like singers and bands, but first I'm going to go into the more alternative options, and I'm talking hypnotists, I'm talking magicians, fire breathers, comedians. These are all things that are great at weddings, but not the obvious option to people. So starting with hypnotists. Hypnotists are something that will suit a certain crowd. Everyone has different tastes, and there are different types of hypnotists. Usually this is a performance that lasts about an hour, and it can be everything from almost like your college scene where the room is going a little bit mental. There are people everywhere, arms and legs, people falling off chairs, crawling around the floor. But if you wanted a more kind of family, more PC option as well, there is hypnotists that kind of tone it down a little bit. It's still very entertaining, but there's something to suit every crowd. So wedding magicians, this is a great one, especially in your drinks reception or your cocktail hour, where the magician is going around to different pockets of your guests and entertaining people throughout the entire time they're in that drinks reception. So it's great in the way they've got all different types of tricks, and it suits all ages. You've got your older generation, your grandparents in the corner, and they're in reams of laughter because they've done something very funny. And then you've got the kids. The kids eat it up. The kids absolutely love it. They just don't, well, we all don't understand how they do it, but to the kids, this really is extremely magical to them. And we see them afterwards and they're talking about it all night long, what the magician did for them. So when it comes to magicians, I'm not going to talk too much more about it now because we do have a magician coming into us very soon, and we'll be putting up a full video talking everything wedding magicians. Fire breathers. Now this really has the wow factor for your guests. Firstly, they're just not going to expect it. Secondly, usually you finish your dinner. It obviously has to be after dark, and it obviously has to be outside. So it gets everyone up off their seat, outdoor into the fresh air, and it gives them a performance that they really won't forget. These guys are actually just playing with fire. It's really, really impressive to watch. But as well as that, they usually have drummers in the background. There's a great beat, there's a great atmosphere. The guests are on their feet, they're clapping, they're getting a bit of fresh air, and it wakes everybody up at the end of the night. This is something your guests are going to be talking about for weeks to come. Briefly before I move on, wedding comedians. This is another alternative option on your wedding day. When it comes to wedding comedians, one piece of advice I'd give you, and Alec from the Pearls did touch on this when he was talking about wedding bands. When you're booking your wedding band, you're going to go see them live to see if you actually like their style versus another wedding band style. It's the same with comedians. There are so many different types of comedians out there, and they all have their own style of actually entertaining the room. Some of them are a bit more PC, others just kind of go for it. So there's something there to suit everybody's taste, but do your research. So another option that you've probably seen a bit more regularly is your music within the cocktail hour and the drinks reception. This can be anything from a duo, one guy's playing the guitar and there's a male or female vocalist accompanying them, to something that's completely acoustic, and it could be a pianist, to a harp player, to a string quartet, to a jazz band. There really are so many different options when it comes to both vocals and no vocals within the actual reception. An alternative to the more mellow background music, there are the bands that are more energetic, they're interactive. And when I say this, I'm talking about the Mariachi or Latin or Manila bands that come in with instruments like the double bass, the drum box, even maracas. And they go around to groups of people around the drinks reception or within the cocktail hour. And because their instruments are unplugged, they can move from group to group. They will play every genre. They take requests from people. So you find when they're going around the room, there's pockets of the room that are now in full sing-song. They get the place going. They keep them happy. They keep the vibe up. And it really is a great option to look at for your wedding. So staying with the high energy, interactive type of entertainment, this is something that will come on around the dessert time or even after the meal. And this is in the form of a singing waiter or a singing chef. There are loads of different types of singing waiters and singing chefs depending on what type of company you book. Everything from your musical theme to your cabaret theme to your big opera sound. When these guys come into the room, the guests are completely unaware something's about to happen. And a lot of time, one partner might book this to surprise the other partner. So when they start, it really is a surprise to the room. And the most entertaining thing we find is people trying to catch on to what is happening right now. Everything from them coming in to being really noisy and boisterous, to even falling over with a tray, to getting on a microphone and saying something completely incorrect. The guests kind of get a little bit annoyed for a moment and go, what is this? And then they realize, oh no, wait, this is an act, this is entertainment. And when they do their set, when I say the room reawakens from the dinner, everybody is on their feet. I've seen people on the tables, on the chairs. There's conga lines going around. People are singing along. And it really, really wakes up the room just after eating a big meal and just before your wedding band is about to start. So bringing the noise level up again. This is something that also happens after the meal and before your band gets going, but this is a real wow factor. If this doesn't wake up the room, nothing will. This is everything from your Celtic drummers accompanied by Irish dancers, to your Brazilian carnival, samba dancing, to your big, colourful Bollywood performance. This is something that really, really will leave a big wow factor in the room and set everybody up in a great mood and a great atmosphere just on time for your first dance and your band about to start. So let's not forget about the kids. There's a lot of weddings where there are kids actually as guests at the wedding. And a lot of people are actually considering this now and they're arranging entertainment for them. This is everything from an actual dressed up entertainer going around entertaining the kids in the drinks reception to actually getting a company in who sets up a playroom. The playroom is usually provided by the venue, not far from the banqueting room, where while you're having your dinner and you're dining, all the kids go off into another separate room. They have a company looking after them. It's a room full of toys, games, and it keeps them entertained while you are entertained in the main room, eating your meal, having a few drinks. Then there's everything from face painters to balloon animal makers, and these are all things that kids absolutely love on the day. Obviously, if there's a magician, like we mentioned earlier, this is something that they can get involved in. But when it comes to the kids, this is something to consider, that when you want to actually just take a minute and maybe enjoy part of the day and not get pulled at by the kids, you can keep them entertained but have time to yourself. So before we finish off, there is also the late night party entertainment, and this is everything from your band to your DJ to even just putting on an MP3 and having a playlist going. When we spoke to Alec from the Pearls in a previous podcast, we went through all the different types of bands, what to expect, and with bands, it really is endless. It's something to do some serious research. But also with your DJs, the DJs now are not just someone that has a playlist and is setting up a sound system. Some of the DJs, they have their own look, they're interacting with the crowd, they have a light show. They're almost as big a setup as the band. And these guys are really good at what they do. I suppose the band have to come in towards the end of the night and get you going after a very long day, but the DJ has to come in after the band and keep you going right out until the early hours of the morning. So these are 3 more things that are a possibility towards the end of the evening. And one last thing, and I've talked about how people entertain the wedding throughout the day. The very last thing when it comes to entertainment, and this probably is the biggest wow factor, is fireworks. Fireworks are something that we do see at weddings. Now, not very regularly. I suppose it depends on the venue. They're quite expensive. But when it comes to finishing off your day and celebrating your wedding, what better way to do it than with fireworks? We end the year every year with firework displays all over the world. And why not do a massive firework display to wow your guests at the end of the wedding? So I just want to throw a thank you out there to the massive support we've had so far with the videos we put up. Everybody has given us such lovely feedback, and we really want to put more and more videos out there. So please do remember to subscribe to the channel. We have so much more lined up. There are so many more special guests coming in. We're going to be talking so many different areas of weddings. So not to miss a podcast or a new episode coming up, please do remember to subscribe to the channel.